this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here.
Okay, we are live. Episode 6, Season 2. We got our boy Ricky back. He has woken up from his nap from a couple weeks ago when we expected him. But he is back. Thanks, Rick, for hanging out with us. Before we jump in, I got to give a shout out to our friends at Coolbet who boosted us a nice little week 0 bet for college football. So let's see what we got here. We got Nebraska and Illinois under 55.5, UCLA minus 16.5, and UTEP minus 9.5. Right now they're paying us plus 500 for that, so 6-1 odds. So we're feeling pretty good. I think we're gonna make some money here in week 0. Yeah. How you feel about how you feel about that action, Rick?
I'm just happy to be able to bet on football again.
That is
you guys have been doing pretty good. You guys have been doing pretty good with those picks so far, so I think I'll jump on those and away we go. And shout out to Coolbet for giving me $465 on online slots the other night.
All right.
Oh, yeah, it was a beautiful catch up. For all those people looking for online slots, Blazing Mammoth, wonderful game brought to you by Coolbet.
All right, I'm just getting some stuff shared here, but we before we get in here, we obviously want to talk a lot about football, and we're going to talk a ton about football. Did you guys see the trade before we came on here between the Patriots and the Ravens? And do you know who Shaun Wade is?
No,
So
I don't know.
I don't know who Shaun Wade is. I think it's astounding that the Ravens, with a plethora of CBs over. I think there was another trade brewing, I heard too. But yeah, and they're looking to trade another corner out of there or something. So yeah, a good pickup though for New England, from what I understand. The athletic, big, great.
Yeah,
Just got picked this year, the 5th round.
Yeah,
right?
And I think for a guy like that, for New England to give up 2 draft picks for him, it's going to say a little bit. I mean, they're weaker draft picks, obviously, but the fact that New England's willing to give up draft picks kind of shows you where they're at in corner, and they show you what they think of them.
Well, and at the same time, though, they just made a trade and picked up some draft picks, which is most likely going to turn into a single draft pick, but they still picked up something, right? So, and what a unique trade! I don't know if if the one I'm talking about was Sony Michel getting traded to the Rams there.
Yeah, that was the next one I was going to talk about. I'm curious how you guys feel about that and like what you think of that.
Well, I think Sony Michel is going to really enjoy it.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to be the prime time back there. Like Darrell Henderson's got this sprained thumb, and it seems like he always seems to be hurt. So I don't know how much he'll play. And right now, Sony's going to walk in with the number 1 spot being pretty much handed to him at this point. And he gets to go from playing with Bill, Mr. Rules, to going hanging out with McVay down in LA. Like, who's going to be upset with that, right?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for a guy like Sony Michel, I mean, he's a guy that basically, I mean, if you're a fantasy player, you're not drafting him if he's in New England. So this trade alone is putting him back onto fantasy draft boards. And I mean, I'm not going to even project around because I didn't look into it very deeply. But I'm going to say if you could get this guy in the 6th or 7th round, maybe the 8th round, you're probably feeling pretty good about that, even if you still have to spend another pick on Darrell Henderson so that you have the handcuff. And you have both of them, but you know that's a running offense, and you know that.
Well, any running back there has been successful. It doesn't matter who it's been. So he's gonna have probably 1,000-yard season if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, if he's the starter, you would expect at least 1,000 yards out of him total, maybe even just 1,000 yards rushing, and he can catch the ball. Like, look at all these Georgia running backs, and I mean, the Rams had success with one of those Georgia running backs for a while until until his knees turned into hamstrings.
So, yeah. Well, and it's funny too because I, with that trade for Sony Michel, they were talking about it on one of the sports shows today. They're like, Aaron Donald, how do you feel about having Sony Michel as a teammate? Because they said they went back to the Super Bowl. And I guess he did really well against him in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So he's like, I don't want to talk. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. So it's pretty cool. So obviously, they respect him there. I think it's a good trade. Can't go wrong with it, anyways.
It's smart too, and it's good to see that that people like this are actually going and making deals. And I mean, like the GM of the Patriots is obviously Belichick, but for him to know that Sony Michel is not going to crack their roster, they have this Stevenson kid that just appeared out of nowhere. Harris is there. Sony Michel is not going to be your guy, so absolutely trade him away. If not, you're just cutting him, and he's going to get to pick his destination. At least this way.
They paid a second round pick for him too. The second round pick these days is a pretty big deal. So it just shows how much they value him anyway.
And it probably tells you the significance of Henderson's injury too, right? If the Rams, the Rams don't value draft picks at all, but they.
I was just going to say that. Like they've given up all their draft picks, and the salary cap. We've said it a few times. It's a myth. This team was already struggling against the cap, and they were somehow able to take on another player. Like what the hell? Well, how did that even work, right?
Well, this kid, he would be on a rookie contract, so his contract would be so low that they'd be able to absorb him, not a problem.
I just thought that they were like completely hamstrung, almost as bad as New Orleans at one point there and Atlanta. But now, okay, this is the other thing. It's a position type, skill position player in the offensive side there that New England has just traded away. Now he was taken fairly high, if I remember correct, right? Was in the top 3 rounds.
Oh yeah,
Sony Michel was a first round pick.
It was a first round pick.
Yeah. Is this just another offensively? New England just cannot draft. Am I wrong in saying that?
No,
especially when it comes to receivers, Jesus.
Yeah,
receivers, receivers, running backs, like it's just like offensive line. They kind of get lucky here and there, but like I just feel like they just cannot draft skill position. Period.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And the only skill position that they've done okay with is tight end, and that was all came out of one draft. And 50% of those
half of it's gone out.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, they've all moved on to different squads, but like Gronkowski was a draft pick of theirs. Obviously, that's a big one. The other dude, who knows what he would have been, but he was a top tight end when
he was amazing in fantasy. That's all I know.
Yeah. Anytime he saw a shotgun around, he knew it was going to be a touchdown to him. But this,
hey,
Netflix
did it. We're allowed to talk about
it. Yeah. We are definitely allowed to talk about it. And
but he was really well. That was a very scary tight end set when they had that running for those couple of years.
Yeah, and
it didn't even matter who was that receiver at that point because everyone was so focused on those middle guys.
Yeah, and it's hard not to say like that's when Brady was in his prime. Like Brady's probably still in his prime, but Brady was in like his peak prime, I guess we'll call it. And that was a scary team. So I don't want to say they can't draft skill position players, but they've definitely struggled drafting. And to the
they
point
hit a home
where,
run, I think, so far. I know it's preseason, man. I know we're just talking training camp. Mac Jones has put on a clinic this week. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that.
100%.
Yeah, but Cam Newton still took first team reps today, so.
I think that was to give him a shot after 5 days off.
Yeah, he had to. He was the only fresh body out there. Like the guy's been sitting in a
I'm just happy that they gave Mac Jones a real number because that whole 52 thing is starting to creep me out.
Yeah, well, I thought that would have been interesting, but
I would have loved it.
I thought it was real at first.
The fact that they gave him Garoppolo's number was kind of fun. Not like Garoppolo was ever anything there, but there was always a talk of if the 49ers weren't going to start Garoppolo, would he get traded back to the Patriots? Now, the fact that they have Mac Jones obviously makes that like nonsense. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying Mac Jones is the new Tom Brady, but he is the proper heir apparent to Tom Brady, something that Cam Newton was not. Cam Newton was he's a placeholder, right? And there's a team down in Denver. There's a team down. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's a damn good placeholder, though. At least you got an MVP guy, even if he does play 5-6 games. Mac Jones
You are
still
not
think it's-
saying that. Come
Yeah.
on.
Why not? Why not?
If you ask,
don't think
if
so?
you ask
He
any
touched-
Patriots fan right now, they would rather have Drew Bledsoe play quarterback than Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know what?
but
And I
we're
think
talking
the team's
about
getting-
Bill Belichick here. You think he's going to start a fucking rookie first week?
Well,
I do not think so.
He's coming off the field, high
Not a
five in the field.
chance.
He's coming off the field, high five in him and low five in him. And then I don't know if you saw or not, but they got enough. The O line and the D line got in a fight with the Giants, and all the O linemen had to run laps. You know who was right there with them? Mac Jones didn't even have to
Well,
run.
good for Mac Jones.
He's
Good for
winning the
him.
game over, man.
I don't care if he doesn't matter. Bill Belichick will not start a rookie week 1. There's not a fucking chance. It won't happen.
It might be week 2 though.
So
After real fast.
I'm agreeing with Rick a
They
little
win.
bit. So here's my stance on the whole thing. Week 4, the Patriots play in Foxborough. Or sorry, the Buccaneers play in Foxborough.
Yeah.
Are they really gonna put Mac Jones against Tom Brady in Foxborough? There's no fucking way.
I can't.
Yeah.
Unless they
Dude.
get their ass kicked in those first couple games and they absolutely have to pull the trigger on it, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think they're a terrible football team, and I don't know what their schedule is off the top of my head to start the year. But let's figure that out. I don't see them being terrible in those first few weeks. And I just can't see it. I see maybe 5-6 games. But if they're playing well, I don't see them just turning to him for no reason. There doesn't have to be a real panic button there to turn to him right away, I think.
Dolphins, Jets, Saints, Bucks.
Oh, God. So they could easily be fucking 3-1, 3-0 going into that week.
It's a wonderful schedule to open up a rookie with, too. And then he gets to play week 4 after 3 weeks of warming up against NFL caliber players. And
That's
gets to play
fine.
with-
That's fine, but it's not going to happen. He's not going to start him. Unless he's on COVID protocol again, it ain't happening.
So you don't believe any of this that Cam Newton's gonna get cut?
Oh, I haven't even read that.
I haven't seen that at all, but I don't.
I
think
mean,
so.
it is only $1 million that they owe him or whatever his cap hit is, but
Yeah.
there has been some rumblings saying that the Patriots might just move on from him and roll with Brian Hoyer and Jared Stidham, who's actually going to start the season on PUP. But it does, like, you could make a case for it. It does make a lot of sense. If you're running one offense, you don't want Cam Newton and Mac Jones running the same offense, but you'd be far more comfortable with Brian Hoyer and Mac Jones running that offense, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if you're not going to go with Cam Newton, you might as well cut him.
Well, and that's the way I look at it too. Like I'm not sure that
he's not a bench guy, so
yeah, I don't think that he's a distraction in the locker room. I'm sure that he would be an all right guy. I'm sure the guys in the locker room wouldn't like. I don't think that he's a cancer in the locker room. But
no,
if he's not going to play him, and you're not going to play him, there's teams out there that might need a guy like that, and maybe we'll. I don't,
yeah, for sure. I don't see it happening though. I see them. I don't know. He wouldn't take first team reps today if he could get cut, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't disagree with you. I think that the Belichick thing, like all of the history would dictate saying that Belichick is not starting a rookie quarterback, but all of the history would also dictate that Belichick wouldn't spend $200 million in the offseason. And he did that too. So I almost don't know what to believe.
They had a lot of holes to fill this year though as well. Like there's reason for that.
And that goes back to what Kalen was saying because they don't draft very well. Or
but
they don't appear to draft.
They draft good pass receiving running backs. And that's about it. Because that seems to be the only thing anybody can do there out of the bad running back, except for David Harris looked good last year. But for the most part, they're always trying to get a new Kevin Falk.
Yeah. They have been searching for that guy forever.
James White was that guy.
I think James White's still there. I think Brandon Bolden's still there. I mean, all these guys are playing second fiddle to Harris and Stevenson from what it seems like. But there was a couple quarterback decisions that were made. One was obvious and one we didn't really expect. But one impacts your division, Rick. So the Trevor Lawrence thing, is there anybody surprised that Trevor Lawrence is starting over Gardner Minshew?
No, but it's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be a rough go to start, I think. Poor kid.
Yeah, and we'll get back to the Jaguars a little bit later on because we're going to circle back and talk about ETN a little bit. But I do want to talk about this Broncos thing because anybody that watches this or knows me they know that I am a big Drew Lock supporter. I like him. If
I
he
remember
would
that from the show last year.
yeah, if he went on the market tomorrow, I would endorse the
Take him, for
Steelers.
sure.
The Steelers going to get him. Whether even if that cost them like a second or a third round pick, I am
So you guys
comfortable.
just gonna rack up first round picks from other teams and hope one of them works out.
Well, I think that would be
Haskins
ideal.
does look good, though.
Yeah, my boy Dewey.
Yeah.
But first of all, like, does that surprise you guys that Bridgewater's the starter? Were you anticipating
No,
that?
I think he's a good quarterback. I thought it'd be a good competition, but I'm not surprised that he's a starter though. Like I think he's playing well everywhere he's went, really. So.
Oh, and I agree. I just think that Drew Lock seems like he's a little bit. He's taken a step this year, and the preseason has been fairly kind to him. What we talked about on Monday was we can see what we see for the 30 plays that they are on the field on the games, but we don't know what's happening in practice. We don't know how the guys are reacting. We don't know how they're in the film room. Teddy Bridgewater is definitely the more seasoned quarterback, and he's the more accomplished NFL quarterback. So
I feel like he looks really confident too. Like I don't know if he just earlier in his career kind of looked a little unsure sometimes, but he looks out there. Like from everything I saw, he looked like he was out to win the job right from the beginning. He kind of just walked in with that swagger where I'm taking this job. I'm a little bit surprised just on the fact that I thought John Elway would want to, stick with his boy there and make sure Drew Lock was going. But if he won the job, then there must be a reason for it. Either way, they're going to get their ass kicked by the Raiders anyway, so I don't really give a shit who they start.
What's crazy about it is this is like 3 or 4 years to the day that Bridgewater hurt himself in practice when he tore his knee up. Yeah. So I guess the next question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to stay out of it because I've already answered, but if the Jaguars made Minshew available and the Broncos made Lock available, and assuming Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill are hurt or moving on to a new team, which one of those guys are you picking for your team?
You go first, Kelly.
Well, I guess I would have to pick Drew Lock because one, we'd have to pay a ransom inside division to get anybody that's a quarterback. So
don't talk about that.
Yeah, take that off the table. Take that off the table. We're just going player for player. It's your choice. You just turned off fair trade mode on Madden. You go ahead and make your trade. You do what you got to do.
All right. Well, then I still take Drew Lock. I think that Drew Lock in a system like Tennessee runs is perfect. He's not going to be asked to do too much, and he's got two receivers there that all you got to do is get it within 5 feet of them, and they're going to get it.
Yep.
So I think that's what I take. Minshew is too turnover prone. It just and when the game matters, for the first 3 quarters, he's fun to watch, but he's going to blow it in the fourth.
Well, I would say, if you were asking me for this year, I would take Gardner Minshew. If you were asking me over maybe a 3-4 year period, I would take Drew Lock because I still think the guy's got a ton of talent, and I think that he's got a higher ceiling than Gardner Minshew, I think. But if you were asking me right this year, if I need a quarterback to jump in and play right now, I'd take Gardner Minshew for sure.
So here's I'm gonna add to that then. You mentioned that if I needed a quarterback to play right now, and I said this in the chat earlier today too, guys. I don't understand. Justin Fields was on the board. You have the opportunity to take a top 10 talent in quarterback. I think he was much higher, a top 3 talent, really. He got kind of screwed in this draft. But if you were going into this season already suggesting that or thinking that you weren't going to go with Drew Lock, why not take the opportunity with a quarterback like that on a rookie deal? Instead, you take Patrick Surtain, who's a hell of a corner, but you got Kyle Fuller playing one side. You got Ronald Darby on the other side, who's not as good as we thought he was going to be, but he's certainly a hell of a second corner. And you got 2 great safeties there. You certainly didn't need to take Patrick Surtain right now with somebody like Justin Fields on the board.
No, I agree with you. I think it's crazy all the teams that passed on Fields. I also do believe that Patrick Surtain is going to be the defensive rookie of the year. Yeah, he's going to be the
I agree with you, but I don't think that Denver needed to be the team to take Fields, but a ton of other teams should have.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking to make that Patrick Surtain bet, he's playing plus 1,300 at Coolbet right now to be the defensive player of the year for rookies.
Oh,
Woo!
sweet.
Yeah, so if you saw the article that I posted yesterday on the website with all the futures bets, you'd see that one on there. That one's a nice and juicy one. But
Yeah, that is really good.
But I agree with you, Kalen. I think that they could have taken the quarterback. So many other teams could. I mean, honestly, and Eagles fans are going to hate this. The Eagles should have taken him. Yeah. You drafted Devontae, great receiver. I think he's going to be a fantastic player in the league. But what good is he when you're done with Jalen Hurts in 2 years? I mean, they're already talking about whether they're gonna move on from him, and I guess the other guy they're looking at has got a little bit of a legal issue to work out. But we'll see how that Deshaun Watson situation breaks down. But it seems like the Eagles are the team that they're targeting, and that would make their Carson Wentz move look a lot better.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, let's give Jalen Hurts a chance here first before we completely write him off.
I already wrote him off. I think that he's probably going to be a very good player. I don't think that in a city like Philadelphia, they're going to have a lot of.
Well, they were okay with Donovan McNabb losing 4 NFC championships in a row, so.
Yeah, but at least they're getting to the dance. They're not going.
Almost.
They're not going 4-13 every year and losing out on the division by 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, but he came in
a
towards
rough
the end of the year, so. Well, anybody has a chance in that division this year, so it's not like they have no chance at all. Like you could win 8 games with that.
Listen, listen here, Rick. No one has a chance in that division because Danny Dimes got it. All right.
Oh God, give me a break. We don't even know if Saquon Barkley could play yet. He took 6 reps in practice today.
Yeah, I know. That's a big if. When I say these things that I've been saying, Shane, about how he's going to have a big progressive year, it is going to be very dependent on Saquon being there.
It's Danny No Dimes, I'm pretty sure.
He's got receivers there around him now.
I know. That's fine. We'll see.
And he's got
either way, 8 wins can still win the division. And I still think the Eagles are capable of being right there with it. So
yeah, well, I mean, if anything, the Redskins got a little bit worse, right? Or sorry, the football team got a little bit worse.
Yeah,
the Red Hawks.
Yeah, whatever they want to call themselves, I don't really care. Their team got a little bit worse. The fact that Alex Smith isn't there. I mean, that's
is Ryan Kerrigan there? Did he end up going back?
Yeah, he's there.
Did he go back? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, defensively they're going to be good. Offensively, I don't know if it's Patrick or Kyle Allen. I honestly don't know who their starting quarterbacks are. I don't know if it's going to be the kid that played their playoff game. I can't even think of his name right now.
It's Heineke or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, between those 3 guys, they might be able to piece something together and just have like a quarterback by committee kind of thing. Like just throw them out there for a drive each to see if they can fuck the defense up. But
well, look at Fitzpatrick pretty much took the Dolphins almost to the playoffs last year. You don't think that he can do the same thing for the Redskins?
Maybe.
They're in a worse division than he was last year, and I don't know. The team's very similarly built than what the Dolphins are.
Maybe I don't disagree.
If that team gets a handful of wins, I think it's going to be on the back of the defense. That front seven.
I don't love Ryan Fitzpatrick or anything, but at the same time, I still think he's got the ability in that division to put up some pretty big numbers. I think, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they started 6-0 or 5-1 and they still missed the playoffs because that's kind of the Ryan Fitzpatrick way. He flies.
For sure.
He flies out of a cannon and he falls apart.
Yeah.
And
for sure. But that's the problem with that division is you can fall apart and still win it. So.
Yeah.
No, unless Dak's healthy. If Dak's healthy and he stays healthy, Dallas should win that division handily. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'll tell you about something that hasn't fallen apart, and that's our friends over at Joe Cool's and making that kitchen sink pizza. Rick, I don't know how long it's been since you had a kitchen sink pizza.
Oh, I can't wait. A month, buddy. It's going to be a month.
Yeah,
October 1st.
When you get back here, we will meet you at Joe Cool's and we'll order you up one of those kitchen sink pizzas, and we will enjoy it sitting at a table together, 6 feet apart.
I'm so excited to go to Joe Cool's and toboggan and be able to do all that kind of stuff with you guys. enjoy all the fine things that London has to offer that I've been missing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few of them between Joe Coles and Toboggan. We keep pretty busy.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to mention Jimmy Garoppolo real quick though, just because I saw his press conference today. He looks happier than a pig in shit. He thinks he's got the job locked up. He didn't say anything, but they're like, "Oh, how did you know what's gonna happen?" And he's got this little girl smile. I know what's happening. He's laughing so he thinks he's got the job locked up.
Well,
how do we feel about that?
It's gutty. I mean, it's gutty that he hasn't named one yet.
They're too good to start Trey Lance this year. Like, their team is too good. They're too loaded. They kind of got, I don't want to say they got lucky by the kind of draft pick that they got this year, but they really did get pretty fortunate. Their team was decent last year. They were just banged up a lot. But if you give Deebo Samuels an entire year and Brandon Ayuk and they drafted this kid from Ohio State that not many people are going to know, but his name's Trey Sermon. He's a running back.
I know.
He's probably going to be one of those guys that ruins their running back by committee kind of thing. Like, if I was a fantasy drafter, I would not be targeting people like Raheem Mustard or
Mustard, Colonel
Mustard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Mustard's getting cut in the library after the game, and
he did a good year last year when he was healthy.
Yeah, he did. But what I'm saying, I like Trey Sermon enough to say that if he gets the right carries and he's going to take over that job by the end of the season, and they're not going to be rolling running backs in and out of that lineup. It's going to be a lot to do with him. Probably by like week 7 or 8. So if you can draft him and stash him, or at least just know in the back of your mind that the waiver wire it's going to happen, that would be a recommendation that I would make for that. And like Rick, as like we're impartial fans because we don't really give a shit about the 49ers. If you were a 49ers fan, or have you heard of any 49ers fans that want Trey Lance to be the starter this year?
Man, even on a lot of the sports shows, the census is that he just has so much more of a ceiling. And, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, who do you think is going to get benched first then? If we were to say the Cam Newton and Jimmy Garoppolo were getting started this year, who's going to get benched first? Because I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is making it past week 4. I really don't. Because I think he's either getting hurt, for one, because the guy is he's a glass vase. Like, he's going to get hurt. He always gets hurt. And whether he's banged up or they have a couple of stagnant games. I've heard from a couple of NFL insiders even that, Kyle Shanahan doesn't want, he wants a running offense. And they they have a team that, they've passed 8 times or something in one game. It's fucking won a game. So he's totally content running the ball. And then you throw in Trey Lance with that, his running game and the running schemes that he has. The consensus is that they could literally just pound the ball down anybody's throat if they had Trey Lance at quarterback. But, they're obviously probably going to go with Jimmy, but I don't know. I still think there's a lot of question marks around him, whether or not he can really get it done even for a full game. Talking about a guy that can play for a full game, he seems to disappear at times. So I think the leash is really short. I think Trey Lance will be in there by week 5.
Okay, so what kind of a record would they need to have to get Trey Lance in there by week 5? Do they have to be 1-3? 2-2.
2-2. I'd say 2-2 and put him in there.
So what are their first 4 games, Kalen? Do you have it pulled up?
Just find it right now for everybody. I just coming back to what you had said with they're just too good. I also think that will play into this decision as well, in the sense that they can win with somebody like Trey Lance, right? Like the reason why they didn't do well last year is their defense got picked apart and they lost a couple of receivers. They got everybody back,
and their backfield was hurt the whole year too. Like, didn't matter. So they were. I remember at one point they were missing. They didn't have one starter at the skill position that they started in the Super Bowl the year before.
Wow.
Including their quarterback. So every single person, including 3 offensive linemen, so I think it was a total of 8 players on the offense, were different players that started the Super Bowl. So
they go Lions, Eagles, Packers, Seahawks is the first 4. Now listen, they go Lions, Eagles, Packers, Seahawks, Cardinals, and then in their bye. They could get
Lions,
through.
Eagles, Packers, Seahawks. So it could be easily 2-2 then.
So, but here's what I'm thinking. If they're going to make that switch, after getting 2 in-division games out of the way, if you have lost those in-division games and have a bye week and then you come back against the Colts and the Bears, I
Yeah.
think that's a good time to make a switch to Trey.
So the Colts and the Bears is week 6.
Well, no, week 6 is their bye. 7 and 8 would be the Colts and Bears. So that's what I'm thinking. That I think that after that bye is when they could make that switch.
They could easily be 2-2 then. Easily.
Yeah, they definitely could beat win the first 2 games. No problem when
Yeah.
beating the Lions and the Eagles.
Yeah,
Well,
based on the way that their buy is rolled out, the way like what Kaylin's saying, that probably makes sense. They would probably have to, let's say, Lions and Eagles. I think that I would be picking the 49ers in those games. So they might start 2-0 and then lose 3 in a row, and then they go into their bye, and then they come out with Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think it really comes down if they split those division games, they may stick with Jimmy. But if they lose both of those games, they're going to have to start making up some ground. So
yeah, I mean, as soon as you lose momentum, that's kind of where it's at, and it's right around the same time.
And the Colts game is a prime time. It's an 8:30 game too.
Yeah, and
so
that feels like a debut. You know, we remember the first Kaepernick game. The first Kaepernick game was a Sunday night game against the Packers, and that's when he kind of came out, or maybe it was the Bears actually. Sorry, yeah, I think it was the Bears when he came out and just like blew the roof off the place. But for a guy like Mac Jones, if we're not thinking that he's the starter week 1. Where does he fit in there?
Well, what do you mean? In what way? Do you think he's going to be like a third, or we're talking like
no?
Brian?
I mean, like where do the Patriots give up on Cam Newton and move on?
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying there. Well, I mean, you've already heard from me. I still think
panic
Mac
card
is
will be
a-
real quick there for sure, but I still think as long as they're above 500, and that Bill Belichick's aren't going to pull the switch on that.
So they open their
Right.
season. We already talked about it, right?
still,
They
like,
go
I
Dolphins,
got-
Jets, Saints, Bucks, and then they have the Texans week 5. Their bye is until week 14. Is that
I still
right?
have a lot higher hopes for Trey Lance than I do for Mac Jones. So
You know why? I think this entire quarterback class is gonna come out and be. We talk a
it'll be
lot
like
about.
05.
Yeah, like when Roethlisberger, Manning, and Rivers were all drafted.
Yeah.
Even call it like 84 when Elway, Marino, and Jim Kelly were all in the same draft.
Yeah.
I think Boomer Esiason was in the second round in that draft, and like that guy. Say what you want to say about him, but like I don't like left-handed quarterbacks, but he was a good left-handed quarterback. And that's
I don't know much.
he just played for a bunch of
I
bad
know enough.
Bengals teams, except for I'm pretty sure that Boomer Esiason played in a Super Bowl for Cincinnati, which
They did it. They did it in '88. They got their ass kicked.
yeah, and there's not a lot of people in the world that can say they played for the Super Bowl team for Cincinnati. I mean, how many Super Bowls they been to? One?
I think they played against San Fran in Montana.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
So they had no chance.
I'm pretty sure they lost like 55-10 or something like that. It was just a
They
drubbing.
got killed, but he got there. Ask Jim Kelly about getting there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this for next week. If we're looking ahead at next Thursday, we are going to be legitimately counting down to kickoffs for the official start of week 1 for college football.
Yeah.
And there's a game that we're going to be previewing, and it's going to be Clemson versus Georgia. And we have our fingers crossed right now, but we have a guy from Clemson that's ready to come on with us. We just need to make sure because they practice late at night because it's so goddamn hot where they are. We need to make sure that he gets through his practice schedule. So we might need to go into like an overtime episode to start at like 8:30 at night. We're still kind of working out the logistics with him, but we'll see how that goes. That's gonna be a crazy game to look forward to. The game's actually on Saturday night, but bringing him on would be I think it would be pretty cool to kind of get his perspective and see what he thinks because DJ's there, Trevor's not, ETN is gone, which right after this we'll talk about ETN and how that's going to impact them. Amari Rogers is gone, and they still are loaded. Like that team is still absolutely loaded. They have another receiver that's going to be a first-round pick this year in Justin Ross and DJ Ungale, whatever. his clock is started, and we're probably 2 years away from that guy being in the NFL. So, so
Very
that'll
cool.
be that'll be
And I
pretty.
have a special backdrop for the start of college football next week.
Okay.
I
Okay.
got a surprise for everybody.
Okay.
All right.
We're looking forward to that. And, for us, we're always going to have that super boost. So I'm going to say our super boost again for Saturday. It's this coming Saturday. So we got Nebraska and Illinois to go under 55.5. We got UCLA to beat Hawaii by 16.5. And UTEP to beat New Mexico State by 9.5. That's playing plus 500 with our friends at Coolbet. Obviously, we can send you the promotion code going for 2 when you're making your first deposit. They'll double your first deposit, as well as we can send you an extra $25 gift card. But let's talk a little bit about Travis Etienne. There was a lot of I don't know why, but there seemed to be a lot of talk about Travis Etienne being slow, and that's a side note to everything that's happened. There was a little bit of a foot injury. The foot injury leads to an X-ray. The X-ray comes back negative, but somehow he has a Lisfranc sprain, which I can't imagine playing football with something like that. And automatically, rookie season is done. And I feel awful about it for him. But is that the most significant injury we've had in the preseason so far?
Yeah, other than Cam Akers before the preseason started. That's the only other big one I could think of. Compared to last year, people were dropping like flies last year. So
I don't even know if it's a significant. Okay, listen, name-wise, talent-wise, where his draft status is, I still don't understand the pick. So forgive me for that. You could have got your new quarterback, maybe a tackle to protect him, or maybe some wideouts to throw it to. Instead, you go and after having a undrafted player get over 1,000 yards, you go and draft another running back in the first round, and then decide you're going to try to turn him into a slot receiver while doing it. Wasted pick, but
yeah.
Well, wasted pick. He'll be back. I mean, it's not like his career's not over.
I'm saying wasted. When I say wasted pick, I mean there was a hell of a lot more on the board that would have been more productive to your team right now than a running back after having an undrafted player just break 1,000 yards. James Robinson was the talk of the town last year when it came to rookies.
That's true. In that sense, yeah. We can do that.
Okay, and I get what you're saying, and I understand why that would be a thing, but are you really going to throw all your eggs into an undrafted rookie free agent's basket?
The one who just broke 1,000. It was the only highlight on the team. It was all they had.
Well, let's just be honest. The biggest thing is it's upsetting that they lost him and Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
the team is doomed. Did anybody actually see Tim Tebow try to block in his last preseason games?
Oh yeah,
it was amazing.
That dude is, you know what? Like valiant effort. He got himself into good enough shape to be at least in a training camp. But you're a circus loser. You're going to be on the SEC.
He's a minor league hero.
He'll be on Celebrity Big Brother next year, I guarantee.
Yeah, no, he's going to be on one of these ESPN, SEC channels, talking about all his days in Florida. He is living the dream. He can live his glory days. That guy can still walk into any bar in Florida, and he's an absolute hero. His NFL career didn't work out because he sucks. And
he still beat your Steelers for a playoff game. So,
when was the last time the Raiders won?
Whoa! Remember, you're dealing with one of the most petty men we know here. Yeah. He's going to come at you hard now, Rick.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. He still beat you in the playoffs. You got to cut him some slack.
I don't know if you can see all the Super Bowls behind me, but when it comes down to like, when was the last time the Raiders won a playoff game, Rick?
2002.
Was that the AFC Championship game to then go get smoked by the Bucks?
That was the one. It was. Wow. Yeah, it's been a long road.
So
we still didn't lose a playoff game with Tim Tebow. So.
Yeah, and so that puts the Raiders into excellent company with teams like the Bengals and the Lions and the Browns. We
got our new stadium, buddy, and we're going to be in the playoffs. Mark my words, we'll win a playoff this game this year. So.
When he says that we're going to be in the playoffs, he means because the Raiders will be hosting a playoff there, just the stadium.
Yeah.
Because the actual
We will have the Super Bowl in a couple years, and by then we'll be in it, so don't worry about it.
I didn't realize that the NFL instituted a consolation round, but it's good to know. I mean, it gets more people involved.
They did actually when they added an extra playoff team.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the Raiders are in the top 7, but maybe they are.
They will be. They will be. You give us that new stadium this year, and our fans, you give it to us this year. I guarantee you, we're in the playoffs, and we win a playoff game this year. You heard it here.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Rick is going to be in London by the time Rick is going to be in London by the time this bet loses, so maybe we'll put him in that lake that we put you in there, Kalen.
All right.
You better get those. You better get those swimming shoes ready, Rick, because it's cold from what I could tell.
Well, I left my swim shoes at my dad's last time I was there, so I already have a pair there for me when I get back.
And we already know that you're going to be in our charity pick'em for. I mean, we haven't talked to Child Can this year, but I'm going to assume that they're cool with us doing it for them again. Hopefully, they do their polar bear dip for real this year. But we'll be firing that back up. But
yeah.
While we're talking about teams that won't be in the playoffs, the Cincinnati Bengals have decided to start Joe Burrow in the 3rd preseason game. Now, he hasn't taken a preseason snap all year. He actually hasn't taken a snap since his fucking leg got ripped off. Why are they doing this? I don't really get a sense that there's this much urgency behind it. And a team like the Chargers, for example, I don't even think that Justin Herbert's put his helmet on.
Mm-mm.
And that dude wasn't hurt.
I don't agree with people not playing in preseason, so I go against you there. The guy's he's not seasoned enough for not play for 11 months. If you can't play a preseason series, then what makes you think he's going to be able to just jump in week 1 and play a full speed NFL game? What's the difference? If he gets hurt preseason game, it doesn't matter. He's going to get hurt eventually if you can't play a fucking series anyway. So. I don't understand what the difference is.
I personally don't care if he gets hurt.
Well, I know you're in the same division. Yeah. You're coming from a guy though that has Derek Carr, and he hasn't seen a snap. Josh Jacobs hasn't seen a snap. Darren Waller hasn't seen a snap, and I don't agree with it at all. We're not a good enough team at all to not play our starters in preseason. Ben Roethlisberger's like 50 years old, and he's still fucking playing preseason games. So why the hell can't these guys go out and play? Like, the Raiders are not a good enough team to not have preseason starters, and the Bengals are not a good enough team to not have preseason starters.
So you might be missing one. I'm saying, why wait until now? Like, why wait
instead
until
of playing
third game?
not week 1, week 2, right? Yeah.
And
maybe
he wasn't ready. Yeah, maybe. And if he wasn't ready a week ago to run around with like real speed, I'm not sure that I'd rush him out. And there is a lot of young quarterbacks that probably could have used a little bit of time in the preseason, like the Justin Herberts. I don't think Daniel Jones took any snaps.
I just think that maybe they're doing it. Maybe they're doing it just because everyone knows in the 3rd preseason game that nobody plays their starters. So maybe they're throwing him into that one because they know that he's going to be going against second team off defense.
Get him some confidence.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah, and
I'm so scared for him. That offensive line is so bad.
And not to mention, like, it doesn't seem like well, we'll see, but this Jamar Chase thing looks like it might go south quick. We're not going to speculate on the reports that are out there, but like, you guys have seen this, right?
I didn't hear. No, what's that? Because last time I seen them, they were doing an interview together after practice, and everything was going hunky-dory.
So there is domestic violence charges against him for beating up his pregnant girlfriend. And
no.
And that's incredibly horrible. And like I'm not trying to make fun of it or crack jokes at it, but that does seem like it's something that's going to keep him out of action, and it's not going to help a Cincinnati Bengals. And we're going to look at it strictly from like a sports perspective and not from like, the legal situation. But
let's just look at it from a fantasy perspective then. The other receivers there are going to jump up big time. That T. Higgins.
And Kalen was talking about ETN being a wasted draft pick for the Jaguars. Talk about a wasted draft pick for the Bengals. I mean, I actually wrote an article about Jamar Chase and how I thought he was the top receiver in the draft. He was drafted as the top receiver in the draft, but given where everything, everybody was and where things could have fallen, I'm not sure that if I was in Cincinnati's shoes, I would have passed on that. And I can't think of his name. I know he landed in Carolina, the left tackle. You remember who I'm talking about, Caleb? Kid from Oregon.
Penny Sewell. Didn't he? No,
Penny
he went to
Sewell.
Detroit, didn't he?
Was it Detroit? I thought it was. I thought it was Carolina.
No, it was Detroit. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so I mean, I would have been looking at a guy like that. I obviously understand it's hard to pass up speed, it's hard to pass up talent, but that's just another team that wasted a pick, and hopefully that it's all just speculation and none of it's actually true. And I mean, I hope that none of the allegations against him are true, because that's horrible and that would make him, like a piece of shit. So, but moving on from that, I mean, when we look at,
I just wanted to mention, because you mentioned Dan Marino earlier, I saw a thing from him out of Miami today, and he believes that Tua is already the best RPO quarterback in the league.
Huh. Let's make some completions first.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He said everything he's seen so far, and everything he's seen in play, that he already thinks he's the best.
Did you see that?
Decisions, and he has great instincts, and everything's looking good to him. So
that means he's running the random pass offense. Is that because there's no way that they think? But a guy like Tua has an opportunity to be surrounded by such talented guys like Weddle. I think it's Waddle. I think that he's going to be the best receiver out of all those guys that were picked.
Looking pretty good in preseason so far, and in training camp, had some pretty nice catches already, for sure.
Yeah, they got some good options there.
And hopefully for our guy Rich, our guy Devontae Parker could probably have a breakout year this year, eh, Rick?
That'd be nice.
He's due.
Speaking of that, I was gonna bring him out today, but see, as we talk about the Dolphins, we're gonna get a little Richard tribute here. Give us some time. I have this in my living room all the time.
Oh, Richard, there he is, man.
He's looking down on me all the time. So when we mention the Dolphins,
yeah,
we hope nothing but good things for them, because they've been bad for so long, just like my Raiders, and we'd like to see Tua do well anyway. So
now you know why I cheer for Tanny 2 Trill, right?
You got it.
But did you all see that tweet that Schefter put out? How he just got lambasted by that guy for pronouncing Tua's name wrong? Like he got cussed out. This guy wrote him a letter and cussed him out, and then was like the proper pronunciation of it. It was jokes.
I didn't see that.
That's amazing. But if we're going to talk about announcers messing up, we have to talk about Jack Morris. What a burnout. Oh, my God. It was one of the funniest things. I don't know if anybody's heard it, but it was absolutely amazing.
Terrible.
When they asked him how you deal with Otani, and he made a racial reference.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing. And his co-partner that's talking with him, he's like, she's and he just keeps talking like nothing happened. He's like, oh, man, you can't say, especially an old white guy with a beard and a mustache. You cannot be making those kind of comments. And now he's suspended.
I think you said it right. Burnout.
Burnout. Here's the thing for a guy like that, like no matter like I don't believe that Jack Morris is a bad person.
No, I don't either.
I think that he thought he was in different company, and he thought that he was going to be able to say whatever. He just lost track of his mind, and he said something dumb like all of our grandparents have ever said to us.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure everybody's made a comment like that at some point, but when you're on air doing a baseball game and, the best person in baseball, is Asian, you can't be doing that thinking that it's joking around. Even if it is a joke. Like you said, he's probably not a bad guy, but come on, buddy. Like, so let's get it together here.
Yeah, that guy played for the fucking Toronto Blue Jays, and he was old Jackie Morris. And he's just a different guy. And to be honest, like he deserves his punishment. He deserves what he got. And I mean, when it comes down to it, they didn't fire him. They just put him into some kind of like training for sensitivity training and like,
training to not be racist.
yeah, and I don't know, man. Like I wish you didn't bring it up. Well,
Sorry.
let's move on to the Saints. Because
the Saints, you're skipping right over our boy Robbie.
yo, you know what? Yeah, let's go to Robbie because they're in the same division.
Yeah.
So Robbie Anderson got a 2-year, $29.5 million deal or extension. It's $20 million guaranteed. Now, I need some help here because we all watch a lot of football. I know who Robbie Anderson is. I definitely know that he was a productive guy last year for the Panthers. As far as his career, it seems like it's been But are you guys feeling this? Like, does this mean that Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the Panthers and they're just locking up a dude for him, or what?
Does
Well,
this mean
he played with them.
Does this
He
mean
played
that
with
they
them.
were?
No,
I know, but
I
does this
agree.
mean that they were like a dynamic duo and they're getting the band back together in Carolina? Or
Well,
what?
I mean,
that's
in
what I'm wondering.
reality-
I don't get it.
Well, I mean, in New York, like, can you think of when Robbie Anderson was playing there, outside of Robbie Anderson, who was the offense? There really wasn't anything. If he comes into Carolina and he has 1,000-yard year last
He's
year,
a good receiver, but like you get, I guess, a lot of money to give a guy that, especially when you got a guy that you don't even know if you have a guy that's going to be able to give him the ball. So.
well, who did they got somebody else at receiver now this year? I'm pretty sure, didn't they? I don't remember who they got, but I thought they got somebody at B anyway, like number 2. But man, what's crazy for him? He
Not
is
good
not a
enough for you
big
to
guy.
remember.
Like he's 6'3", 190. Like that's
Yeah.
a small.
190
small
is generous. Is 190? Like, I bet you he's like 160. Like
Yeah,
usually he
he's
fights at
tiny.
bantamweight.
But he also, like I say, he was the only thing that was getting touchdowns in New York. He did okay last year. He's 28. He got a couple more years in the tank. 15 mil isn't that much for wide receivers right now, especially when the cap's going to jump huge next year, right?
Yeah, but still, okay. So if you're saying it's all relative, it's all relative. But like, what other receivers in the league make 15
DJ
million?
Moore, that's who the receiver is I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, what other receivers in the league are making $15 million a year?
Well, right now it's Julio.
Julio for sure, and like
DeAndre Hopkins probably.
OBJ?
DeAndre Hopkins, OBJ, like, but all we're doing is reinforcing the point. Like, is Robbie Anderson the same as DeAndre Hopkins?
I'm looking them up right now just to see where we're at as far as like $15 million receivers.
Yeah,
We're looking at Brandon Cooks, Thielen, Godwin, Kupp, Landry. 15 mil is the tag. for
So
wide
I would
receivers
put
up here.
like the closest thing you could really put him to there would be like Godwin.
yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I don't even think he's as good as him. But we'll see.
No. Godwin's a freak.
The guy was still catching balls with broken fingers. So
Yeah, and he had a good year with he had a good year with Jameis Winston for all people. Like, I mean, that's that says enough about Godwin right there. But yeah, I don't know.
So is that leading into the Saints right there? What you feel about the Saints?
Well, we can, but I want to know, like, we don't pay the salaries. None of us are Panthers fans, so ultimately, none of us really care. But when I saw the extension, I looked at it and I was like, I don't want to judge somebody for getting their money, but like, is that real? Like,
I know, but it's back to the quarterback situation too, because we talked about Bridgewater in Denver. It's like, to me, like, what, like, you rather put money into Sam Darnold than Teddy Bridgewater. Like, I don't understand how you think Sam Darnold's better than Teddy Bridgewater. Why they didn't just stick with him in the first place.
What's great? Carolina's paying him $11 million to play for Denver this year.
I don't understand that at all. Like, if you guys asking you guys, if you guys had a choice between Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater, like, who would you take?
well,
I always like the Ghostbusters movies, so.
Yeah.
So you like seeing ghosts in the secondary. Eh?
I prefer Sam Darnold only because I don't want my quarterback to wear 2 gloves to play. But
Well, yeah, I don't like that either. But I prefer my quarterback not to see ghosts in the secondary either. So
yeah, that's fair. And you know that and I heard this, it was pretty crazy stat. The Jets didn't have another quarterback win a game while Sam Darnold was on the roster. So
wow, Last
Think
person
about
we
the
called
time-
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, well, think of all the times that he was injured and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Wow.
if Sam Darnold's just chasing Teddy Bridgewater around, he might be in Denver next year.
Yeah, they're on the depth chart.
It's rough. Like this guy's unseating Teddy Bridgewater all across the board here. Really quickly before we go to the Saints, because I forgot to bring this up on Monday when it happened, or when I found out it happened. But do you guys realize the streak that the Baltimore Ravens are on for preseason football?
They haven't
You guys-
lost.
Like 20 in a row or something?
Yeah.
They're going for 20 in a row. That's an NFL record. Like, think of how many years of preseason that dates back. That's pretty wild to think that. Is there any
I suppose
significance
6
to
years
that?
of 6 years of
Wow.
preseason.
I think about 5 minutes ago you mentioned something about a consolation prize or something. They think they're getting it right there.
Yeah. So here's a question: how many preseason games does it take to equate for Lamar Jackson to win playoff games? So if he wins
Well,
one
at this
playoff
point,
game,
we're 19-1 right now, right?
yeah. So he for every 20 playoff or preseason games he wins, he gets to win one playoff game. Like,
It looks good for you for the next 4 years, eh?
yeah. Oh, I think we're gonna cruise to the division again this year, and people just start sleeping on it. But let's
Just be. You didn't cruise to the division last year. Let's just remember, you started good and then you
Yeah,
stumbled.
It's gonna get ugly here in a minute,
Yeah.
folks. Again,
Hey,
everybody,
Hey.
hold on to your seats.
have you ever been on cruise control, Rick? You get off
No,
to a nice start, and then you cruise right the fuck way in.
And then you can't reach 50 kilometers an hour by the end of the trip, then, right?
Oh, they were fine. Look,
Ben's arm looked terrible at the end of the year last year. He looked like a 50-year-old man. And if he burns out again this year like he did last year, we're going to see the exact same result.
no, they got fucking Dewey.
So-
They got Dewey this year.
Better be able. Well, I understand you have this
And a run.
but
and a run game.
Najee Harris. But regardless, let's find out if you have a run game because we still don't know.
I know.
I know you think you know, but if
I
he's
know.
throwing the ball 40 times a game again this year, he will burn out the same way he did last year.
We don't even
Everybody,
have
the word of the day is burnout.
Yeah, we changed our offensive coordinator. We have changed our entire offensive philosophy. They have 4 running backs that are gonna be able to cycle through. Najee Harris is gonna be the lead dog, obviously, and the O line that's supposed to be shit is the highest graded O line in the entire preseason, and a lot of these guys are playing all the snaps. So
Hey, I
They
want
went
them
out,
to do
they
well. I
got-
like Ben Roethlisberger. I'm just saying, if you play the way you did last year, he's gonna fucking burn out. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, well, and that was less of Ben Roethlisberger and more of the guys around him.
But his arm looked terrible at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, how many passes can you throw to one receiver and let them drop it and then continue to throw dimes?
I don't know. He's been doing it for 18 years, so figure it out.
Yeah, how many times can you hand it to James Conner and he loses 2 yards and then you're like continuing to be
Well,
happy?
James Conner is a piece of shit, so I'm so happy they got rid of him because I thought he was the
Wow.
most overrated running back I've ever seen in my life. People that were drafting him in the first and second round last couple of years, I'm like, are you guys high? Like, this guy is not that good. So I'm really happy that they got rid of him. It's a good start. He's like Eddie George 2.0.
Hey, you take that spot from everyone today.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
I
you
think,
gotta fire it up
Shane-
once in a while.
Shane, you were going to talk about the ghosts and the ghosts of Saints past was Teddy Bridgewater. What were you going to bring up with the Saints here?
So I have been saying that I think that the Saints are probably going to finish 4th in that division this year. And after watching that preseason game, and again, it's preseason, let's not overreact. Obviously, every single person that had a draft on Monday night drafted Callaway in the 3rd round or the 2nd round because they think that he's some kind of superstar. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the same burnout, as Rick says, that got cut by Cleveland because he can't stay off the
That's a
green
different
grass.
Callaway.
Is it a different one?
Callaway.
I thought they had that guy too.
That's Antonio. Well, maybe Antonio Callaway, but the guy that made the catches was Marcus Callaway.
Okay, so when the season kicks off, I don't believe that Marcus Callaway will be a top 50. He won't be a
I
top
said the
50
same
receiver.
thing. I said to Kalen last night, he'll be one of those guys that every couple preseasons, there's a guy that lights it up and has a couple really good games, and then come they come the real season, kind of like that guy, kind of like the Raiders, Brian Edwards last year. I think there was a guy for the Saints even a couple years ago that dominated preseason, and then he disappears in the regular season. They're not playing first team off defenses. They're not playing first team corners, and they're not going to get in behind safeties like that in the regular season. So,
right, exactly, 100%. I agree with that.
But it was the longest touchdown pass that the Saints have had in like 6 years. So, preseason or regular season.
That's because Jameis Winston got his eye surgery and he's ready to roll. But I think when it all comes down to it, the Saints are in bad shape. I don't envy being a Saints fan right now. I
say
do
Carolina
think,
finishes below. But
you do think that?
I honestly I'm cheering for Carolina. My brother-in-law's a Carolina fan. But I do think that the defense that the Saints have is enough to get them more wins than I think Carolina can.
It'll be a battle, I think, between them and Carolina. I think for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I think that there's value in Atlanta winning the division.
Oh, but I know you think it's a great bet. It's just
Kirk
not
convince
happening.
You that or what?
No,
Kirk. He's not an Atlanta fan anymore.
Yeah,
he's not an Atlanta fan anymore.
We had a show last year. We picked him. We picked him the Seahawks.
Oh my God!
He went to another dirty bird and did on the West Coast. So that's where he's at.
He's actually not an Atlanta fan at all.
No. We renounced his Atlanta.
If Kirk's watching, for the days that you were, that's the reason why.
Hey, Chris Sales joined Sandy Koufax as the only pitchers in MLB history with 3 career immaculate innings.
Oh, congratulations!
Wow, great.
Nobody cares.
All right. Any you guys got anything else? Because we're in overtime right now, and I think Liam's ready to hit us.
I have one shout out to our Canadian women. 5-1 win over the States tonight. Kicked their ass. Good job, women.
Go Canada!
And boys, with every time you go and lay your head on your pillow, you're one day closer to watching NFL football. So keep that going. We do have college football starting on Saturday. Make sure you watch that. Check out our Super Boost. It's on Coolbet Canada. As always, make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. Kaylin and I, and actually Rick is probably a good candidate for this too. We're all going to start playing each other live on our Twitch page, and we'll be Google chatting through that so you can kind of kick in and chat with us through that. That'll be pretty cool because I don't know if you guys know this about these two guys, but both of them get really, really angry when they lose in video games. So,
were you watching the other night?
Look forward to that. Hey, boys, don't forget, we all played on the same high school football team. We all went to high school together. We all know everything. So
yeah, we did.
On that, let's cheers. Let's say see you next week. Catch us Monday, but make sure you take care of yourselves, boys.